The Secret History of Vale Sangora. May the one and true God, in his all-encompassing mercy, steady my hand and guide my quill, for the things I am about to commit to these pages are hard to comprehend and even harder to describe. May he guard my soul as I write of devil's doings. May he prevail in his struggles with the darkness, for I saw it seeping into his creation and twist it beyond recognition. My name is Albertus Taurinus, native of Turin, Italia. I came to Vale Sangora when I was 51 years of age, called upon by the Valley's senior, 𝑘𝑠 𝑔𝑎𝑐𝑜𝑡𝑒, who sought a man of letters to chronicle his valiant deeds. Despite years of learning, when I first heard of Vale Sangora, I could not even place it on the map, and no wonder, for it is remote and hard to reach. Encompassed on all sides by the mighty Carpathians, it is accessible solely through narrow gorges and only in the summer months. But as I was to learn, these passages were dangerous to travel even then. I set out towards Vale Sangora with my prior's blessings, and in high spirits accompanied by armed guards and servants. Our journey from Italia was to take 2 months. It lasted twice as long, and most of our party did not survive it. As a native of Turin, I was no stranger to mountains and their many dangers, and so, in my arrogance, I thought myself well prepared for crossing the Carpathians. God sought proper to punish me for this hubris. Throughout our passage, we were followed by packs of wolves, as hungry as they were cunning, and plagued by avalanches. Our guide, a rugged man named Georgi, insisted on making an offering to the mountain folk, who he claimed were behind our misfortunes. I laughed off what I saw as pagan superstitions. Knowing what I know today, I would have behaved differently. For most of our journey, we saw few traces of civilization. Shepherds, lean-tos, roadside shrines. One day, though, as we were nearing Vale Sangora, I noticed a huge stone block among the dwarf pines, expertly hewn and stained with flaking paint. It must have been a part of a monumental structure, rivaling the ancient wonders described by Antipater of Sidon. Amazed, I asked our guide where the block came from. In response, he just looked at me darkly. I offered to double his pay if he told me what he knew, but Georgi refused. The people of the Carpathians do not like to discuss their secrets. Having arrived in 𝑠vartrau, the capital of Vale Sangora, I gazed at its imposing cathedral and the mighty Greifenberg castle looming on the crags above. They seemed out of place here, at the edge of the world, miles away from the nearest town. Why would anyone settle here? The answer was simple: silver. The surrounding mountains were rich with it, and its cold gleam lured men like moths to a fire. The rocky slopes were pockmarked with mines' entrances, and the pickaxe's steady knocking echoed through the valley all day long, resembling a prisoner's rapping against the walls of his cell. Another thing which surprised me during my first days in 𝑠vartrau was the variety of languages I heard on its cobbled streets: Romanian, German, Hungarian, Hebrew, and seemingly innumerable Slavonic dialects I could hardly tell apart. Jewish traders struck deals with Tatar shepherds. Serb mercenaries drank beer with Czech miners. A veritable Tower of Babel, I thought to myself with a smile. But then I recalled how that story ended, and my mood soured. While God, in his love, may grant us prosperity, he hates greed. What fate awaits this rich city, I wondered? What punishment? The man who called for me, 𝑘𝑠 𝑔𝑎𝑐𝑜𝑡𝑒, made a striking impression. Tall, handsome, and always richly dressed, he looked like the epitome of nobility. But as is often the case, appearances were misleading. I quickly discovered that 𝑘𝑠 was a cruel ruler who knew no mercy when displeased. While a different seigneur might have used the proceeds from the mines to fund a cloister or convent, 𝑁𝑜𝑡𝑒 used them to expand the dungeons beneath the mighty Greifenberg castle. I saw these dark, damp cells with my very eyes, their walls stained with blood. I spent most of my time in the archives of the Svartrau Cathedral. Right from the start, I did not like this building. Though undoubtedly grand, it seemed dark and foreboding. Rather than representing God's boundless love, it seemed to embody the wrath he displayed towards sinners. I was not surprised to learn that the cathedral was reputed to be haunted, and few would dare walk its long naves after dark. Reading dusty chronicles lit by flickering candles, I too felt a deep sense of unease. I always felt watched there, and not from the heavens up above, but from the untold depths below. Though through most of history, Vale Sangora was sparsely populated, it boasted two saints, Saint Mihai and Saint Tina. The former lived many centuries ago and was born a pagan. According to the early chroniclers, he was a fearless knight who died fighting a horrible monster. One day, I made a pilgrimage to the site of Saint Mihai's demise, to light a candle at his shrine. As I was praying, I suddenly heard a blood-curdling howl. I told myself it must have been a wolf, even though deep down, I knew that the truth was different. The second of the Valley's saints, Saint Tina, was a simple shepherdess turned miracle worker. According to the legends, there was no illness she could not cure, no festering wound she could not clean. Even today, people flock to the convent she established to pray at her sarcophagus, and many come back healed. I visited the convent too, and its prioress, Mother Bernice, agreed to lift the lid of the sarcophagus to show me the holy remains. The first thing I noticed was a gleaming medallion resting on the saint's sunken chest. I resisted the urge to reach for it, with utmost difficulty. At first, the people of Vale Sangora struck me as deeply superstitious. Shepherds would warn me to stay away from certain slopes and ravines. Miners spoke of terrors dwelling in abandoned shafts, and everyone had a deep, almost primeval fear of the dark. As soon as the setting sun grazed the mountaintops, I would hear the clacking of the shutters and the metallic clang of padlocks, and then deafening silence. What did they fear so? I wondered. Then, walking the streets of Svartrau one early morn, I stumbled upon a body, mangled so badly it was barely recognizable as human. I wrote of 𝑁𝑜𝑡𝑒's deeds as instructed, extolling his supposed virtues and omitting his many sins. But what truly interested me was the history of the valley itself. It was unlike any other place I have ever been to. It seemed to thrum with a dark energy, which tangled my thoughts and seeped into my dreams. It felt unreal, like a place from a folk tale, or rather some cautionary tale. Even now, writing down what I found out, I fear no one will believe me, that future readers will judge this book a figment of a feverish mind, that Vale Sangora did not exist at all. The locals were suspicious of me. Hearing my questions, they would wince, as if I had just touched a sore spot. Desperate to learn their secrets, I tried everything to make them speak, but to no avail. Until one day, I traveled to the village of Laslia. There, seated in the shade of a sprawling beach, I saw a wizened old man. His name was Zdzisław, and he was the hamlet's elder. As I introduced myself and my project, his sunken eyes lit up with curiosity. He motioned me to his hut. "Trees have ears," he whispered, as he shut the doors behind him. I visited Zdzisław of Laslia many times. Wrapped in greasy sheepskins, lit by glowing embers and screened by wisps of smoke, he shared his stories. They spoke of fearsome warriors from ages past, decked in gold and colored plumes, fighting pale wraiths among the moonlit peaks, of tiny forest folks with cat eyes, forked tongues and teeth like needles. Of ancient ruins filled with bubbling blood. They warned of horned mountain beasts and lizards the size of horses burrowing in the peat bogs. I listened to him for hours, my quill dancing on the parchment to the tune of his rasp voice. Once I asked him if he believed his stories to be true. Are Vale Sangora's dark woods truly the home of mischievous fairies? Were its winding paths really once trodden by proud heroes and mysterious warlocks? Should we all fear blood-craving 𝑙𝑖𝑘 emerging from the shadows at sunset to feed on our blood? For a moment, he said nothing, seemingly lost in thought. But then he unbuttoned his woolen kaftan and showed me his neck. I noticed 2 small, round scars right over one of the veins. And so, all my questions were answered, all my doubts resolved. Secluded as Vale Sangora is, it is not cut off from the world completely. A trader from Constanta arrived yesterday, his clothing in tatters, his voice shaking with fear. He spoke of a plague, spreading like a forest fire through his city, of people dying in the streets, of bodies spilling from overfilled mass graves. 𝑁𝑜𝑡𝑒 ordered a vigil in 𝑠vartraud's cathedral, led by his personal confessor, Father Florin. All the valley's priests are to pray day and night, begging the heavens to spare us from the plague. And so, I need to take a break from writing this book, hopefully for just a few weeks. May God protect us all.